Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. It's Jabari Campbell, aka the Champ, back with another video. Let's go, champ. As you guys can already tell, I am injured, and of all injuries, an ACL injury. So I actually got injured at practice, of all things, and this was 4 weeks before I was set to leave for the Central American or Central Caribbean, Central CAC, Central American Caribbean's games. Is it essentially it's like the Olympics, but for just the Caribbean and all of Central America. So it's a pretty big deal. You have like ice hockey, you have hockey, you have surfing, you have track and field, you have all the sports that you could really think of, all at this one games event. So it's a big deal for your country. So I was preparing for this games, and 4 weeks before, when I'm set to compete, I actually injured myself during practice. Of all things, one of my training buddies is on the sideline with his crutches because he's torn his ACL. So, anyways, while I was actually wrestling, I took a guy up, picked him, and I was like, okay, cool. This is towards the end of our practice, and I'm just like, okay, I'm just gonna do a light throw. I go to throw him behind my back, and as I'm throwing, I'm twisting and turning. And during that time, at some point, my knee gets trapped, and I just hear a loud pop. And at that point, I'm like, no way, I just got injured. So I try to get up, take 2 steps. I collapse. I'm like, no way. And of all things, like, so where we're actually working out in our parking lot is a long distance, especially when you just tore your ACL to hop, of all things. So I'm kind of like blessed that my friend was there and he was actually injured because I used his crutches and like my coach is there like helping me the entire time just to get back to the car. And I'm like, all right, coach. The coach is like, I'm seeing you next week. I'm like, coach, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. This doesn't feel like a little. But after him saying, I'll see you next week, I'm like driving home, I'm like, I got this. I'm fine. I'm okay. Nah, no way I'm that injured. No, no way. So I'm like, I'm talking to my friends, I'm talking on the phone. I'm like, yeah, I'll be back. I'll be back in like, 2 seconds. I'll be back. No doubt. Yeah. Anyways, come come to find out, I'm like hopping around my house for a couple of days, and that's really when it sets in. Is when you go from competing high level, and then you come home and you're barely able to make up the stairs because you're hopping on one leg. And I'm like, damn, I think I really injured myself. And really that sucked the air out of me. I ended up having an MRI, torn ACL, as you can know, fully torn. But I still went to games because this was a big games event. I mean, we shut down the whole entire country. I mean, it was such an amazing experience. And I actually ended up competing on my torn ACL knee. Yes, I sat out for about 3 weeks. It healed, not necessarily the ACL healed, but the muscles surrounding the surrounding the ACL, that knee joint, ended up like strengthening enough to where I was able to actually walk on it and jog on it, as you can see here. So I'm jogging in a circle. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And I try to pivot left. I'm like, oh no. But I'm thinking, you know what? I Because of the way that our draws were set up, I was able to go out and compete for bronze. And I'm like, I can compete for third, or I can just call a forfeit and some guy just gets a free medal. And I'm like, I might as well go out there. So I went out there, fought the hardest I could with half knee, and yeah, ended up losing, but it was a valuable experience because in that moment it was kind of do or die. Do you fold, do you quit? And it's not really a prideful thing. I wouldn't recommend you doing this, but for me it was a big deal because I was like, you know what, I didn't have to go out there, I didn't have to risk my health to do it, but I did it, and that really, like, I don't know, kind of solidified my love for the sport. So moving on, today I actually just wanted to talk to you about, the whole entire experience from day of surgery, day before surgery. So, anyways, I get back from CAC games and mine's racing, end up going to the doctor. They're like, you have torn ACL, we're gonna have to do surgery, right? Go through that whole entire process. They have to drain so much fluid. Maybe I'll blur an image and put that up, but they had to drain a ton of fluid out of my knee, just blood out of my knee. It was crazy. And anyway, so up until a week or two before like surgery, wasn't feeling anything. And it's the day of the surgery. And I'll probably post this in a second video. Maybe link is down in the description of like everything I was going through my mind day before surgery. And man, I was so nervous. And it wasn't just like nerves, it was just like I've never had surgery before in my life. And I was just not just scared, but I was just like, yo, I don't know what it's gonna be like. And that like just kind of frightened me a bit. So anyways, I went to the gym. vented it out, right? Got her on the weights, and I ended up seeing a friendly face, my boy Yanni. Shout out to Yanni. And that kind of uplifted my spirits. And the next day I was in there for surgery. Surgery was so long because we ended up getting there at like 7 a.m. And it wasn't until what? It wasn't until like 7 p.m. that they ended up actually doing surgery on me. So it was a long wait. But anyways, I digress. So surgery happens, and so I'm in, they bandage up your knee, they give you this really cool ice cooler thing for your knee. I'll show you this thing. It's hooked up to basically like a little ice machine, which is literally a lifesaver. And I'll do a tips video probably next, right after this video as well. And man, that thing was literally a lifesaver. And a week post-op, you really can't do much. I just made sure to keep my leg elevated. If it wasn't for Mama Dukes being here and her being able to kind of take care of me, I don't know how you could do this as like a single person. This would be a tough one. Like I would definitely recommend like staying at a friend's house or staying with family if you can. So, anyways, week post-op, I'm elevating my knee. You really don't want to. For me personally, I elected to have a cadaver done on my knee, cadaver graft, which is basically where they take the patellar tendon and take that from a dead person, a cadaver, and they utilize that into your own as an ACL joint. Normally, you'll see people have the big scar down their knee, and they'll take it from their own knee and from their own patellar tendon. But because I wrestle on my knees a lot, taking that graft from that source really would probably cause me more pain down the road. So we elected to do a cadaver. Um, anyways, so week post surgery, it wasn't too bad. You have to stay on top of your meds. I told my doctor adamantly, I don't want any type of opioids, none of that. I cannot deal with it. Like I just don't even want to touch the stuff. And so he gave me a really strong Tylenol with, I think it was with codeine, which I never took. I mean, I didn't take not one of those pills. I ended up throwing them out after the first week. But all I took was just Tylenol, uh, gabapentin, because they give you like a nerve blocker because they literally drill a hole through your knee. I mean, through your shin to get the graft through, and then NAC because I was taking so much Tylenol that like you have to balance it too. So I didn't overdose on Tylenol basically. So anyways, that was the first week post-op. It was really kind of just a blur because you're just always taking Tylenol. Like for me, it was every 3 hours, and you can't really do much except get up, use the restroom. If you're working from home, you could do that. But besides that, you're really on rest for an entire week. So after that week, I started physical therapy. Really wasn't even a week. Maybe it was like 5 or 6 days later. I started physical therapy after my first doctor's visit post surgery. And on that Wednesday, started physical therapy. Now, physical therapy for the first and second week was literally the toughest thing because your knee can barely bend. And it hurts so much. It's painful throughout the whole entire process, but it's not like pain that's going to kill you. It's just like acute, really quick pain and then like releases, right? So I'd say the worst pain is probably during that week while you're just like recovering from surgery. So first week goes by, we're getting a good bend, and I'll say like the one thing that I like one reason why I didn't have a big issue with recovery is because I literally from the moment that I got off of the surgery bed to the moment that I got home, not only did I start my meds, but I slept with like my knee almost like hyperextended a little bit, right? Like just because of the way that the pillows were set up. And I didn't have like a normal bend. Like sometimes they have like these, I'll pop up a video, maybe they have like a pillow, like a elevated pillow for your knee. I didn't use any of that because that creates a bend in your knee, and you want to keep that knee as straight as possible so that you can have the extension because that's what you're planning from, right? You don't want to be have an ACL surgery and then have to have a limp, right? So, anyways, first week to 4 weeks, pretty good progress. The first couple of weeks is really just protecting that graft. The first 2 weeks. And then the third or fourth week, we were doing a lot more strength and stabilization stuff. And really it was around week 5 to week 6 where I'm at right now that I really started feeling way better. I don't have to wear my knee brace every day. Like I can walk on my knee completely fine. And a lot of people it depends it depends on what surgery or what surgeon you end up going with, who recommend like different things, whether you can directly start walking on it or if you have to wait a little while. My surgeon said I had to wait a little while just because it was a cadaver, which I think I had to wait. I think it was like a week or 2 week non weight bearing. So like I'm not walking on it, but like if I can stand up and like brush my teeth and like stuff like that. But he didn't want me really walking and putting any extra strain onto that knee joint until at least the graft was, really grafted onto my bone. So yeah, week 5 to week 6, where I'm at right now, I feel great. My knee, like I get extended, I can walk upstairs without, kind of having too much problem. Now it definitely doesn't feel like my other knee. It doesn't feel normal yet, but again, it's only 6 weeks. So yeah, that's kind of like my update on what it's like before surgery, during surgery, after surgery, um, and PT as well. So what's next for me? I obviously have to continue going through physical therapy, and I really want to start, doing more videos. I've always had the passion to do this, but just never really got around the time to actually doing it. So, yeah, this is that. This is my first video, and I'll probably pop up another one right after this, talking about the tips for recovering after ACL surgery. Anyways, peace out, guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye.